Move-in weekend and a concert at the University of Virginia are bringing big crowds to Charlottesville. We will tell you where to avoid the worst of the traffic tonight. Plus,
I remember waking up that night as the lights went out. The next morning, my mother waking me and telling me that there had been a flood and having no idea what that really meant.
survivors of Hurricane Camille remember the worst natural disaster to hit central Virginia 47 years later. Thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Talhelm. Your news at 6 starts now.
Live in high definition from the area's most experienced news team. This is NBC 29 HD News at 6.
First tonight, the University of Virginia is alerting students about a rape at knife point reported to police overnight. The attack happened between midnight and 1 a.m. on Emmett Street near Thompson Road. According to an email sent to the university community, the female victim says she was sexually assaulted by a stranger armed with a knife. Charlottesville police say the man pulled her from the sidewalk and assaulted her. The victim is a UVA student. Police are asking anyone who may have been in that area and seen something to call Crime Stoppers at 434-977-4000. Students in the University of Virginia's class of 2020 are finishing their move-in on grounds tonight. Dormitory check-in for first-year students ended at 4 o'clock this afternoon, but University Parking Services does not expect the traffic to die down anytime soon near grounds. Parking Services warns drivers to watch out for pedestrians later tonight.
Upperclassmen have a couple of days to move in. The first years, they're all moving in. They have programming, and there's offerings tonight at JPJ and the AFC, and there'll be food trucks down in Lambeth Field. Lambeth Field is right on Emmett Street, across from U-Haul. There's a big concert at JPJ tonight.
The university says the streets to avoid tonight are going to be Emmett Street around the John Paul Jones Arena for that concert, and the intersection of McCormick and Alderman Roads, that's near the residence halls. More than 4 decades after Hurricane Camille ripped through Nelson County, people who live in that area are remembering those who lost their lives and sharing stories of survival. NBC 29's Spencer Burke is here to show us how they are marking this anniversary. Good evening, Spencer.
Good evening, Matt. People gathered at Nelson United Methodist Church this afternoon. The focus was on the Davis Creek area where the devastation really hit hard. It took crews 2 months and 23 days after the disaster to recover the final victim's body. Another year of commemoration rings deep within the hearts and minds of those affected by the worst natural disaster to hit Nelson County.
I remember waking up that night as the lights went out. The next morning, my mother waking me and telling me that there had been a flood.
Hurricane Camille tore through the region on the night of August 19, 1969, destroying property along Davis Creek. Debbie Harvey and her family managed to escape. Their homes were not as close to the stream.
My cousin talks about how they learned later there were 3 trees that happened to deflect the water from perhaps taking their house. So we were just very fortunate where the homes were located.
52 people from the Davis Creek area lost their lives. 27 of them were under the age of 20.
A lot of my grandfather's brothers, children, in-laws, all lost their lives.
Tiffany Spencer wasn't born when Camille hit, but as she watches a slideshow of photos taken after the destruction, she can't help but remember stories told by relatives.
Being woken up by water leaking from the roofs and hearing the large roaring noise. My grandmother described it as maybe jet planes coming over, as how loud that the creek was at that time.
At the Nelson County Historical Society, history is preserved. A board with the names of all the victims of Hurricane Camille hangs on the wall.
It was a wonderful place to live, to grow up, to raise your family, and the night of August 19, 1969 really changed that forever.
2 feet of rain fell in a 5-hour period. The Historical Society hopes to publish a book on Camille for the 50th anniversary in 2019. Live in the studio, Spencer Burke, NBC 29 HD News at 6.
Thank you, Spencer. Animals rescued from severe flooding in Louisiana are arriving in Virginia soon. Rescue teams from People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, have been working to reunite displaced animals with their families in the flooded areas, but the group says the shelters are filling up. PETA is planning to bring 3 van loads of cats, dogs, and other animals from Louisiana to Norfolk on Monday. Shelters around Hampton Roads will take in the animals so they can be adopted. NBC 29 covering Virginia tonight. Governor Terry McAuliffe is expected to restore voting rights to thousands of convicted felons as early as next week. The Washington Post reports McAuliffe will announce on Monday the first 13,000 felons who will have their rights restored. McAuliffe issued a sweeping executive order in April restoring voting rights to more than 200,000 felons. Republicans argue that the governor overstepped his authority and was trying to add Democratic-friendly voters to the rolls ahead of the November presidential election. On Monday, McAuliffe is also expected to reveal his plans to restore the rights to the remainder of those 200,000. Virginia health officials are linking frozen strawberries from a chain of smoothie shops to several recent cases of hepatitis A. The Department of Health says the testing indicates strawberries from Egypt used at tropical smoothie cafe stores may be to blame for those people getting sick. The chain says it stopped using strawberries from Egypt after learning of the potential health concern. Symptoms of hepatitis A include jaundice, fever, fatigue, and nausea. Today, the Charlottesville-Albemarle Health Department offered back-to-school vaccine clinics for rising 6th graders. The clinic says it's all a rush of students and their families coming in this morning as they prepare for the start of a new school year. Health educators at the clinic stress the importance of vaccinating children to protect them from getting sick.
You know, kids in a classroom are all very close to each other and diseases can be easily spread. And so we want the kids to be protected and then they can protect their friends and their family.
Students 18 or younger can get their shots at the Charlottesville-Albemarle Health Department this upcoming Monday and Thursday. The Virginia Safari Park in Natural Bridge will pay $155,000 to the family of a 10-year-old girl who was bitten by a camel. Court documents reveal the settlement between Madison Holland's family and the safari park. Nearly $40,000 will go toward medical and legal expenses. Holland suffered serious injuries to her forearm when she was bitten while attending a birthday party at the drive-through zoo in May of 2015. The National Park Service will soon turn 100 years old. Today, the Friends of the Blue Ridge held a celebration of that centennial along the Blue Ridge Parkway. NBC 29's Madison Carter was there. She joins us live now with the story. Good evening, Madison.
Good evening, Matt. Friends of the Blue Ridge invited the public to be their guests tonight as they brought the original Blue Ridge Parkway back to life.
We want to make sure that national histories and local histories and state histories are connected.
Friends of the Blue Ridge Parkway wanted to use the national park in their backyard to bring awareness to the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service.
Yes, we want people to know about our parks. Here we are living 10 minutes from this beautiful place. Humpback Rocks, and so many people locally don't even know anything about it.
The 469-mile parkway winds its way through a series of parks that stretch along the crest of the Blue Ridge Mountains through North Carolina and Virginia.
If you look at the Park Service budget on a national level, the thing that is really hurt is the maintenance.
Saturday's Centennial picnic at the Humpback Rocks Visitor Center was as much a celebration as it was an event to bring attention to National Park Service budget cuts.
Well, it's been said the parks have had their budgets cut so much that we've got the little village open today and we've got the music. And that's very special because of the cuts. We haven't been having this, and this is a special occasion.
What were we doing 100 years ago? And of course, this is the setting with the old-time cabin, the garden that we had.
Visitors were taken back in time to the Park Service's founding for a day of fun.
Things that happened 100 years ago. So old-time music, we've got games planned for the kids for sack races and three-legged races. We've got some Irish step dancers coming. It's going to be a fun.
Nearby Shenandoah National Park is going to open their gates for free this Thursday to celebrate their Park Service Founders Day. There are going to be several Centennial hikes planned throughout the park.
Newsroom tonight. Thank you, Madison. American swimmer Ryan Lochte is responding to reports he lied about a robbery in Rio. It's an exclusive interview you'll see only on NBC. Plus, a craft beer festival comes to an end at Devil's Backbone in Nelson County. Find out why when your News at 6 continues.
I'm tracking a little better chance for scattered showers and storms tomorrow, folks. We may start dry first thing in the morning, mostly cloudy, but the late morning to the early afternoon, a better chance for those storms. It'll be humid, and behind this system, boy, we're going to really reap the benefits of nice weather. I'll show it to you coming up.
And in sports, Washington running back Matt Jones suffered an injury in last night's preseason game. You will hear from head coach Jay Gruden a little later in sports.